Cool. So what we're going to cover today, the first one actually is not a brand new feature. It's something that I want more adoption out of all of our Flexpoint customers. So we'll cover that for sure. But it's our late shipment SLAs and email communication modal for those late arriving shipments. And then we'll talk about our new order routing experience, a really, really cool upgrade to honestly what I think is Flexpoint's bread and butter. Our order routing engine just got even more powerful and honestly more easy to use. So good combination there. And then we'll take a look at the quick build products and listings feature. Again, for anyone who's been with Flexpoint for a little bit, this will be huge. This is a game changer to me as I review our building process, just doing things a whole lot faster, but keeping that same kind of power that you're used to when merchandising with Flexpoint. Then we'll take a look at our non-shippable flags on order items. This feature, the concept of having a non-shippable item has always existed in Flexpoint, but we're giving our users way more power to actually control what is considered as non-shippable, a lot of time digital SKUs and things like that across all their sales channels. So that'll be a cool feature to cover. And then bundle filtering. So anyone who's using bundles, kits or bundles inside of Flexpoint, some new filtering mechanisms for just making sure you have that whole process tuned in. Cool. So I'm not going to spend too much time here on this presentation. I want to dive right into the app to cover these features. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll say one last time here, feel free throughout this, if you guys want to write any questions into either the chat or the Q&A section, I'll make sure to cover those at the end. So feel free to pepper us as we go along here. Anything I don't get to, I'll try to get back to y'all in a follow-up email. Okay, give me 1 second to update my screen. All right, beautiful. Cool. So where I've just navigated to is the home dashboard of Flexpoint. Any Flexpoint user should be familiar with this page. It's where you land when you first log into the app. And this is actually where the first feature we're going to cover today lives. So like I mentioned, this vendor SLA tracking feature and late shipment email communication is what we're going to look at here. So within this dashboard that you see here, the intent of our dashboard in Flexpoint is, hey, show me the quick hitters, or what do I need to action on my account on any given time? What do I need to do to keep things moving? So a big piece of that right here is within our shipment status, right? We want to notify you of any orders that might need your attention from a fulfillment or shipment standpoint, or the key here is orders that are late, for lack of a better word. So everybody might have a different version of what does late mean, right? So taking a look at this feature, the first modal we'll see here, we call it our shipment SLA. So this gives you the ability to, for each vendor or warehouse, right? We traditionally see this used a ton with our customers that leverage a lot of vendor communication and vendor integrations. Whether you're running a multi-vendor marketplace, you're doing some drop shipping from some vendors, we see it leveraged a ton there. But it's also, as you can see here, it's a great feature for just any warehouse communication. Anywhere that you want to be a little bit more tuned in with the fulfillment and order lifecycle, and just stay on top of those shipments being delivered in a timely manner. So that could apply to vendors. I think that's the most use out of this feature, but also your own internal warehouses, your 3PL network, any warehouse that you want to notice how long they're taking to ship and communicate with the various teams on that. So what you're going to see here is this SLA setting is the first way to review this. So you can have a default setting. So you can say, hey, across all my warehouses, vendors, internal, whatever it might be, I expect, after they've received the order, a shipment to come out maybe 3 days later. I think that can be somewhat standard. But then you might have some overrides, right? You could say, yep, vendor 3 here, that's perfect. That 3-day SLA is exactly what they need. But my vendor 2, they should be shipping out a lot faster. So that vendor 2 here, I'm going to set them on a 2-day SLA. Great. And then, my own internal warehouse, I do some more custom work inside of the warehouse. It takes longer to put together. So let me give myself a 1-week SLA for that, right? All I'm saying here is we can be very custom for each and every source in Flexpoint, each and every warehouse that we're connected to, how fast we expect them to ship after they've received the order. So cool, we can save those changes, that'll apply across the board for, existing orders, for new orders that are coming in. But you can see here, the goal with setting up is to populate these two fields here. Show me all my shipments that are over that SLA threshold. And again, it could be, the SLA could be different from one warehouse to another, one warehouse to a vendor's warehouse. And while we say SLA, right, this is really just for, hey, what is the threshold? It doesn't have anything to do with like actual contractual terms, fees or anything like that associated with late shipments for your vendors. You could definitely leverage this tool to find the late shipments and have your own kind of cadence for going after any dinging of vendors or anything like that. But while they call it an SLA, we're not financially connected to the vendors, if that makes sense. I like to call that out. Great. So what now that I've set up my default settings here for those SLAs, I now have this modal automatically pulled up, which I'm clicking on now. This will take you right to our order management dashboard. And what it's going to do is queue up all of the orders across the board, across all of your vendors, across all of your sales channels, across all of your warehouses that are late. Based on your threshold, they have not been shipped yet and they should have been, right? So all of that, we have these preset filters for you, but all of that is queued up right here. You can look at some of the order details. You can export this information if you wanted to. You could just review the statuses, whatever you need. But the really cool part of this feature is, all right, cool. It's great to know that these orders are late, but I like to call this my let me go bug the vendor or bug the warehouse feature, where I can go ahead and email them and say, hey, what's going on with these shipments? I have all the details right here. I don't have to go track down different PO numbers. I don't have to go track down, when it was received by the vendor, anything like that. Flexpoint has you covered there. So what we're going to do is hit this actions drop down and then go to email communication. So that's automatically going to pull up this modal that you see on the screen. And then it'll show you across all the vendors that have late shipments. We'll send them obviously a separate email only pertaining to their information, right? So, looking at my internal warehouse, it automatically says, yep, we know the email address for that. We just configured that in our settings. Is there a particular email address you want to use of your own? Flexpoint can host this for you if you want us to. And then just add a subject line and a custom message. I'll put late orders. So it could be as simple as this. You could obviously add more details, but the key is we're giving the exact order number, when the vendor acknowledged it, if we have that timestamp, and there's a demo account, so sometimes you see some empty values. And then we'll have all of the statuses and let them know, hey, what's going on with these. So we can quickly flip through each vendor. We can say choose if, like I said, keep this custom message that I just typed in, choose if we want to send the email or not. I might say, oh, these are all cross-docked. I don't need to worry about those right now. Go ahead and remove those from the queue. So we can do this with all vendors at once, and we can go hit this send email button in the top right corner once we've selected the orders that we want to make sure we talk to them about. So it could be just a few clicks if we just want to get a quick email update out on every single order. All we have to do is select all and then hit that email communication mode. So yeah, really the intent here with this entire feature and being able to send these emails quickly and have everything identified really easily, it's just to reduce shipping delays, right? We want to ensure that our customers have as much control over the fulfillment process as possible, where, a lot of times it's not your warehouse, but you want to be able to have a little bit more control over getting things moving around. So yeah, we'll streamline the communication, with any kind of warehouse that you're working with, in order just to keep that feedback loop tight and hopefully deliver the end goods to the customer sooner rather than waiting on the vendor to go ahead and ship it out themselves without poking them. Cool. And then yeah, this is really, as you can kind of imagine, I think faster fulfillment is important for all of our customers. So that's the intent here. It's the key part of winning repeat business. When someone comes to your shopping cart and gets something delivered within the time frame that you estimated, or maybe even faster than that, great. They're more prone to come to you in the future. I think everybody, in e-commerce is looking for that. But then, anyone who's on a marketplace, Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and maybe connected to Flexpoint through Flexpoint to those marketplaces, extra important there if that's a thing, but it keeps the metrics up on those marketplaces. We avoid the penalties of late shipments. It's especially key for any marketplace seller to make sure we do everything we can to keep that fulfillment lifecycle running. Great. I saw a couple hands raised. Feel free just to go ahead and write in. I'll try to get to you at the very end, but feel free to write into the chat or in the Q&A section. It's in the more section here of the Zoom taskbar. Very cool. All right, so we're going to go on now to, actually, before I go to the next feature, I do want to call out this shipment SLA. Like I said earlier, I think doesn't have a ton of adoption. It's something that we want more and more customers to use. So, again, one last call out of it's really easy to find home dashboard. Just hit the three ellipses icon here on the shipment status, and you can set your SLA accordingly. I urge everyone really, whether you're going to leverage this in full day one, to take a look at it, maybe turn it on. It's actually a really cool feature that we're going to kind of wrap into some good AI reporting that we have planned for the future. So stay tuned there. But this shipment SLA will definitely be a key piece of some good AI functionality we want to give our customers for having a good vendor performance or fulfillment performance report. All right, cool. All right, so going back to the agenda here, the next thing I promised you guys we would cover is our new order routing experience. So where I'm navigating to now, just hit the settings icon in the bottom left corner of the app, and then I'm going to orders. That's where all things orders are configured, in terms of inbound, outbound. But where I'm focusing right now is on order routing. So, like I kind of called out earlier, this before our facelift here was probably my very favorite part of the app. We just have so many dynamic and robust rule sets that can be applied to make sure that every single item or every single order and every single line item on each order is routed in the best way. And best can mean something completely different for one user versus another. And that's what we're always trying to cover in Flexpoint is, hey, what is important to you for each and every unique order scenario, each and every unique line item? We know we need to route that differently in different use cases, right? So this should be a page most customers are familiar with. Either, honestly, it's often set up during onboarding, or if you have a new use case or a new vendor maybe that you're setting up, a new warehouse that you're configuring, and just adding them to your order routing scenarios. But really, where I want to show you guys is going to this add routing group option. So the first thing worth highlighting here is that we have basically a setup wizard, right? So anytime you have a new use case to solve with routing, or you just want to check out, the new ways we can kind of handle this, I urge you to create that, select that create routing group button, and it gives you this view of a quick setup wizard, right? So what we found, which might seem obvious to a lot of people, but we found the main use case to solve for here in order routing, especially for customers with a hybrid fulfillment model, right? Like a lot of our customers do, multiple warehouses, multiple vendors that they might be managing. What we almost hear, first, maybe 85% of the time is, hey, I just want to, send all orders to my internal warehouse or one specific warehouse if it has it, right? And then after that, cool, I want to send it to the lowest cost option beyond it, right? So, it seems straightforward and something we've always been able to achieve in Flexpoint, but we put it right in front of you here. We made it really easy to configure just the overall number one use case that we see in terms of order routing. So walking through it right here, really simple questions, just let us know who your preferred warehouse is, right? I have a lot set up on my demo account, but very likely it's something like, hey, I just want to use my internal warehouse powered by NetSuite in this example. That's who has first dibs on the orders. If it's available in that warehouse, great, route the items there. And then we'll tell you, hey, the next thing we're going to do after that, if you do have that warehouse preference, is we're going to just route it to who is the lowest cost, right? And we know at Flexpoint, just the raw cost value you have on a line item does not necessarily mean it is the accurate lowest cost threshold that we can use. Really we're looking things out like, hey, prevent splitting shipments if you can. Not just looking at the raw cost data for an item, but any shipping costs, whether they're rate shopped, live shipping costs, or estimated based on weights, based on other key values, individual SKUs, things like that. So we do want to, when we say lowest cost order routing, it's a loaded statement where we are looking through a lot of factors to determine who is actually the lowest cost. And the biggest, one of the biggest ones for that is, hey, fewest number of sources, fewest numbers of warehouses or vendors that need to be involved. That means less shipments, right? So that's almost always going to account for a cheaper routing solution, right? So it's as easy as that, right? Just tell us who your preferred warehouse is, and then from then on, we're just going to find who the lowest cost option is that can do it with the least amount of shipments, essentially. At the end of the day, though, there still might be a tie there. We might say, nope, internal warehouse does not have this item available, so we're going to go to the lowest cost and fewest sources fulfillment strategy, but there still could be two eligible sources, either vendors or other warehouses, that meet that, right? They have a very close cost or the exact same cost, something like that, which is common. You'll see it in like 3PLs, things like that. We always want to give our customers a tiebreaker, for lack of a better word, right? Where, hey, there's still a couple different options. Who should win in the case that there's a tie? And that's what this source priority right here is doing. So it just lets you say, okay, cool. Let me enable a few of these guys here. It's going to automatically move them up if they are enabled. and then say, okay, cool. If all things are considered a tie, I love vendor one here is what I'm going to say. Send it to them. Um, and that way you're just stack ranking, right? At this point, obviously my internal warehouse always remains at the top. That is my preferred warehouse. We know they don't have it. So if you can't find a match on lowest cost, just go ahead and use my stack ranking here. So a lot of our customers are going to have all of these enabled and just rank them in terms of their favorite. So we can always break a tie in terms of order routing if we need to. So I know I talked a lot here, but I could see customers coming in here, maybe reviewing this for a couple minutes and having their default order routing group in place to solve the majority of their use cases. You can always say that you don't have a preferred source as well. And in that instance, on the simplified order routing page, we are just going to go to, hey, everyone is considered equal, send it to who's cheapest and the fewest sources, like I called out. Very cool. So with that, right? Existing Flexpoint users might say, "All right, this is great, but what about the existing setup that I've already put in place? Nothing changes for you. There's a slightly different UI, which we actually enhanced here, so that our customers with a bunch of different routing groups, they have a lot of different use cases to handle in terms of order routing, whether it's overweight shipments, certain location-based order routing, things like that. We can search for those, right? You can say, hey, show me my overweight routing group again. There it is. Let me go ahead and take a look at that. So we're still always going to preserve those advanced kind of workflows. And even if you hit this add routing group button and scroll to the bottom, let me move this out of my way, you can switch to this advanced setup anytime you want. And this will look similar to the legacy version that our customers are used to, but still a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to use, set up, and manage. So from this page right here, the more advanced view, right, we have more considerations when routing. Things like closest to the end customer, a very popular one, right? So if you are a customer that's worried about, hey, I still want to look at who is the closest from my warehouse to the customer delivery, we can always bake that in. So we can still go to this advanced view and actually makes things a whole lot easier to say, oh, I actually don't care about fewest number of fulfillment requests. I don't care about having shipment policy mapped. We can get that off your page. They're always addable right back here if you do remove them or want to add any back. But outside of that, the functionality remains robust and it remains rules-based where, again, you can set up that default routing group really easily like I just called out, but you can still do some really good if-then based rules if needed to choose one routing group versus another. So I like this feature because it keeps all of the power that we've always had in terms of our order routing, but it just makes it way more straightforward, way more simple. There was times where, we had customers that looking at an order routing page would be somewhat unsure of what would happen when orders rolled in. Our goal is to remove that uncertainty from the equation, right? When it comes to order routing, we want to know what's going to happen ahead of time, have fewer surprises, have fewer troubleshooting to figure out why an order was routed a certain way. So again, just simplifying as much as we can, making it really easy to set up and get started, but also if you need to, digging into some of those settings to handle more robust workflows for sure. All right, cool. So the next feature we're going to jump to is with our digital product catalog, I call it, but our products page here. So navigating to the products tab on the left-hand side of my screen, and I'm going to the source inventory section here. So as a lot of our Flexpoint customers know, this source inventory section is the raw data, for lack of a better word, coming from your warehouses, coming from your vendors. So it's all available on this page. And a lot of our customers will use this page as a merchandising tool, for lack of a better word, in terms of, hey, I'm going to apply a certain save filter. Those are the items that I need to sell on one particular sales channel or maybe on multiple sales channel through our multi-channel listing tools. So our customers will oftentimes have these save filters ready to go. Hey, show me new items in the last 4 days. It has to have some images. You can build your own custom filters here. That's always existed. It's not what I'm here to show you, but I think it's helpful just to put yourself in the merchandising mindset. So we're on this page for source inventory. And traditionally, our users are used to what we call a job, spawning off triggering a job when they are ready to assign these source inventory items to a particular sales channel or multiple sales channels. And it's something that traditionally takes time, right? Depending on how many products you're building, it could be something that you kick off, you go do a different task for a little bit, then you come back and look at the results, right? But in Flexpoint, always looking to make things faster, more efficient as much as we can. So once I kind of showcase this feature here, I think the value it brings will be pretty self-explanatory, where building and assigning products to our channel listings, it happens in an instant. You get feedback in an instant. That way you're not, multitasking, having to jump to a new task and then put yourself back in this mindset. It can all happen live. So it's something that, like I said, for merchandising, adding new products to your sales channel, it's going to vastly speed up the process. If you're linking your, supplier or warehouse inventory to items that already exist on your sales channels, same thing here. That linking process is instant. And then, excuse me. Um, um, like I said earlier, no loss of control, like with the order routing page, no loss in functionality with doing this faster, just building some efficiencies in. So to showcase this, I'll actually walk us through the app. I'm going to select a certain number of items, right? A cool thing about this feature, and actually a thing to note, is we can do this for a full page size in Flexpoint, right? It's not intended for hundreds of thousands of listings at once. It is more for the chunks, for lack of a better word. So up to 1,000 items, I can select all at once. I'm just changing my default page view to 1,000. Sometimes it takes just a second to load up all 1,000 results. But once this loads here, I can select everything across the board, right? So I have a full 1,000 that I've selected, and I'm hitting this create products modal. This should be very, very common for anyone who is performing this building process in Flexpoint. As you can see here, the settings remain the same, right? You can keep your same product builders. This one is for creating new products and listings, also merging to existing ones. All of your mapping templates can remain the same here. You can make new ones if you need to. But what I'm going to do here is say, hey, I have a couple sales channels I want these items to go to. So again, same process as you would follow earlier. I've hit that, and it's just going to go. So again, this is something that would take, several minutes to even get started previously, and then, a decent amount of time after that to actually complete. And here, like I said, it's instantaneous, where across these 1,000 items, we are doing all the checks, all of the linking, all of the creation of new products and listings that we would normally, like I said, in a longer time frame. Here, almost instantaneous. So it's just going to rip through these, and as soon as it is done, it will give me an instant report on, hey, what's working? Is anything need my attention? Is there something I shouldn't have built or linked that I was looking at previously? So all really, really good ways to kind of keep this building process moving without having to jump to a different task or anything like that. All right, let's just give this one more moment here. I picked a big group, I know, but I just wanted to showcase some of the power. And like I mentioned earlier, it's just worth calling out one more time. I don't want people to say, hey, why isn't it working like how Mike showed? Make sure you just update your page size accordingly. So over on the right-hand side of the source inventory section, you can always change from a default view of 50 to 100 to 1,000 like I did here. And as long as you're on one page inside of Flexpoint, this quick builder will kick in here. So again, it is our normal building process. We just call it quick build because it is way, way faster. And it is, going through the product creation process right now. And it will separately go through that listing creation process, assigning it to a specific sales channel. And what's really cool here, like I said, is we get those instant results. I don't have to sit here and wait, and come back to it and say, all right, what worked, what didn't. We have instant results of, all right, cool. 972 of those products are done. They are fully built. If I want to go check any of them, cool, I can see a quick preview here of the items, the quantity, the pricing, the default list price for these items, and kind of run through those if I want to. You'll also be able to filter that if you want to on the next page. And then maybe more importantly, you can see what didn't work, right? I have 27 inventory items here that are saying it needs my review. This is almost always based on your settings, right? So very commonly we have customers that will put what we call a threshold or a gate in place to make sure they're not merging things together that shouldn't be. So a really good example here actually is this guy, where I went to merge this together, but I already had set up in my default building settings that, hey, Flexpoint, let me know. Flag a build, flag it as needs review if the cost is 30% difference between two of my vendors, right? So, that could tell me, hey, maybe one vendor messed up a cost value, what you see here, right? This cost value is empty. Or maybe a vendor, accidentally used the part number for a case pack instead of an individual unit. So we're going to call all of that out for you right here. And, I might say, hey, no, I need to redo this or look at my settings. Or I could just say, yep, no, this is good. Go ahead and let it rip. So that's, ways we can manage those items that, needed my attention, for lack of a better word, when building. Cool. And then, yeah, like I said here, we action it just like we would. And the reason those builder issues or flags came up is my cost rule right here. So it's always something where you can go back, say, oh, okay, cool. Do I need to add more mismatch rules? Do I need to tweak this one? But at the end of the day, I just saved myself probably over an hour with troubleshooting and building in general. So the ability for those items to be, already listed, assigned to my channel listings here, these new items that I just built to WooCommerce, created 0 minutes ago. These are ready to go. I can go ahead and decide if I want to publish them up to the channel that need any other review. If my settings for my channel are set to automatically attempt to find a link or a matching item on the sales channel, that will automatically trigger. So a really, really good way to just keep that, I call left to right flow, going from source inventory over to channel listings, just humming a whole lot faster. All right, cool. I think that is what I wanted to showcase there for the quick build. Like I said, let us know with any of these if you have questions. I know we're getting a couple items in the Q&A, so feel free to keep writing those in, and I'll try to get to those at the end. But also don't feel like this is the one chance you'll have to ask us about these features. Our support team is fully versed on these, our product team. So if you have any questions or want to make sure you're doing it right the first time, please let us know. We can walk it through with you. All right, cool. Let's look at my next agenda item here. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to take a look at is orders and order importing. So where I'm navigating to here, again, our settings in our bottom left corner of the screen, and then the orders. And order importing is what we're going to look at right here. So this traditionally is used for, if you want to apply any changes to an order as it's being imported into Flexpoint from your sales channel. So very commonly people put on hold rules here, address validation rules here. Maybe I want to add a specific note to orders, things like that. But we added a brand new feature to this order importing workflow. That's what I'm here to cover today, where you can now mark items as shippable or not shippable, we call it, and just meaning, is it eligible for fulfillment, yes or no, automatically through Flexpoint. You don't have to rely necessarily on your sales channel to tell us, hey, this is a digital item, or this is a gift card, this is a warranty. We still can do that, but we're giving you full control in Flexpoint. It's great because this works across all of your sales channels. Digital items in particular, they're configured differently on one sales channel versus another one. Shopify has a particular flag or way of indicating a digital item that is completely different than what Amazon does. Our customers a lot of times have different SKUs and different attributes on one sales channel versus another. So this is a really cool way to say, hey, we don't have to worry too much about what the sales channel is doing. We can build our own cadence, our own workflow here to determine what items are not shippable. If you want to use it for what items are shippable, you can, but almost all items are. So usually it's easier to find the outliers for those non-shippable items. Like I said, typically a main use case for this is anything digital, anything that doesn't actually need to be fulfilled and sent to the end customer, or maybe it's just stuff that Flexpoint isn't managing for you. You want Flexpoint to consider it not shippable. It just means that we're not going to hold up order routing for you, essentially, where we're not waiting for tracking to come for an item that you're never going to ship out to begin with, right? Or that your vendor is never going to ship out. No one is actually shipping an item. It's already been delivered to that end customer. So yeah, digital SKUs is the main use case there. We see it sometimes with software as well. If people are buying software on your e-commerce website, or a warranty or a gift card, all that good stuff applies. So we're going to go to apply this. I just made a name for it, but you can name it whatever you want. But it's just an order importing workflow. So it's just a new rule here that you can add. So you can activate this just by hitting add rule here in the bottom right corner. And that will bring you up to a page that looks like this. Where you can build your own conditions, right? We like I said earlier, it's going to be different for everybody what they want to consider not shippable when we import those orders. So a good example here is, hey, orders from my Shopify channel, maybe the SKU literally contains the word digital in it. Great. If I find one of those, I'm going to classify it as a non-shippable item. Or maybe there's a particular attribute. It could be any of these, right? Where the attribute name is digital and the value is yes, telling me, and it could be a custom field. It could be really anything in Flexpoint. We have the ability to pick and choose through pretty much any data point on the order level or on the product or listing level to determine this. And then cool, I think probably my easiest way to set this up is to use Flexpoint's list functionality. It's a lookup list. So you could just say, hey, yeah, I'm going to upload my full list of SKUs, maybe across all my sales channel that are digital items or that are non-shippable items. So Flexpoint, if you see one of those SKUs come up, or maybe it's a brand, maybe it's a category, could be done any of those ways. Go ahead and mark these items as not shippable. We just say it is true that it's not shippable. And as easy as that, right? So going forwards, anything that meets this criteria, and it can be completely different for a different sales channel, or it could be the same across all my sales channels, but anything that meets your criteria, like I said, it could be a SKU naming convention, an attribute, a custom field, a note on an item, literally anything you can kind of dream up, we should be able to set that flag accordingly. So this is how you set the rule up. Again, our team can help with that, but I want to show you kind of what it looks like in action here. So going to our orders page. You can always filter by these non-shippables as well, these non-shippable order line items. That's what I'm doing right here. And then, cool, let me look at my order, the order life cycle here for one of those non-shippable goods. So by me creating the setting that I started with in that order importing workflow, as we bring in the order from any sales channel, in this instance, my test sales channel is Shopify, it's automatically, Flexpoint can automatically know, hey, this SKU was called out as being a non-shippable item based on my settings here. So you're going to see that right here with this flag. And really what it means is that we don't route it. We capture the information. There was maybe a price you charge for that, for a warranty or for a class that you're offering or something like that. Maybe it needs to be synced for accounting purposes. So yes, we want to bring that into Flexpoint, but it doesn't get assigned to a source. It doesn't get assigned to a warehouse or to a vendor, to a 3PL, because there's no actual good to go ahead and ship out. So Flexpoint will recognize that and say, okay, cool. We have 2 items here that do actually need to be fulfilled, but another line item here, this is actually considered not shippable. So we don't send it out for fulfillment. We don't wait for tracking details. You can see the finer points here in the item details. So with that, you can kind of keep your order fulfillment lifecycle moving. You're not going to, we've had before in the past, if we bring this in as a standard item, for lack of a better word, that we're trying to route, it can hold up closing out the order, changing the status of this order on your sales channel because, the thought is we're still waiting on one of these items to be fulfilled. So just a way for a non-manual way to mark items as non-shippable so that we can just process the order and route and get fulfillment on what actually matters to you. So again, just another way of having a clean, standardized kind of order management page and workflow here for what makes sense, right? Ship out the stuff that is a physical item and just mark for financial purposes what is digital and does not need to be actual shipped. Cool. Yeah. So one of these that we're just looking for smoother operations overall, a little bit less cleanup, closing out orders and stuff like that. Just take care of it ahead of time. All right. So now where I'm going to navigate to, we're going to take a look at bundles in Flexpoint. So, not every single user uses our kitting and bundling feature, but it's a really cool tool, right? It's a really cool way to differentiate your product catalog, to take, like I say, kits and bundles so we can make multi-packs, for lack of a better word, or we could add completely different components that make up an entirety of a kit. I see this being really popular in the automotive space, in the medical supplies space. The electronic parts, probably, anyone that's working with high volume SKUs, this is always good to have, or items that can be combined or kitted together to give one good solid listing. So this one should be a quick one to demo out here. But really what we're looking at is inside of our product catalog, we've added new filters. And this came as feature requests coming from our customers. So just proof that we're trying to listen as much as we can. So feel free, you can always go to our help center and write in additional feature requests. This is exactly where this feature came from a couple of users that like to use bundles and kits in Flexpoint, but just wanted a little bit more control over managing them. And really the intent here is to make it easier to when you're first setting up bundles, but maybe more importantly, you catch broken or incomplete bundles before they actually go live, or find a replacement part if one of the items in your bundle is no longer available from one vendor. Quickly find a replacement part that can fit the bill. Filters inside of Flexpoint are a really popular way to get to the nitty gritty. Like you have here, the save filters. They just show me all my bundles we've always had, but now we can get much more granular with it to find the maybe problem bundles, for lack of a better word. So I just went to the filters. This can be added as a save filter, so it's not like you have to apply this every single time. But at the bottom of our filters page, we have this new bundle section, right? And the three areas that we've added for filtering on is the number of components of a bundle. So, how many actual items make up this bundle, right? Maybe in the really main use case for this is, hey, I have cases, I have multi-packs, which we call bundles, but I also have kits, right? Where, those are two different concepts of, one is, one single component, but 10 of them, right? Maybe I'm trying to make a case pack out of an individual unit that my vendor sells, where a kit is going to be more, it's going to be more than one component essentially, where, hey, it's not just 10 of something, it is multiple completely different items being combined into a single kit. Flexpoint has great tools for once these bundles are ordered, being able to get them fulfilled accurately on the back end and routed appropriately. But again, just managing these bundles and locating the ones that might need my attention is kind of what we're going after here. So just taking a look at it, we could say, hey, real quick, the number of components in my bundle, I think a lot of our customers are going to say, hey, greater than one. That just means it's a kit. So let's see what I got pulled up here. Great, my pet bundle. Actually, it's in real terminology, a kit where, hey, I have this Spanish olive, I think it's a collar for the dog, next to my fish oil omega, right? This is just one that I made. I don't know that anybody wants to buy those together. But from there, great. I'm automatically identifying any kits I have configured in Flexpoint separately than if I just had, something like this where it was just a 4-pack of this fish oil omega. Go back here. And then what other things we're looking at with these bundles is, hey, maybe I need to find an exact SKU for this bundle. So again, my fish oil example, maybe I found that my vendor is getting rid of this fish oil. So I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. I need to update my bundle accordingly. Maybe this was archived or discontinued from the vendor. I can immediately find that SKU just because it's a component of my overall bundle. And then I could say, okay, cool, this fish oil, I need to do something about it here. Very commonly, we can just say, cool, get rid of it and add a new component, right? Find a different replacement item that will go along inside of this kit. Or maybe I just want to convert it to a true bundle, a multi-pack of the collar that I had set up there previously. So we'll give you a list here of all the items that you can add across all of your vendors. And then my Wi-Fi is just a little slow here. But once that pulls up, we'll be able to get that full list to sort through and add a different component if I need to. Great, I'm not going to actually do that. I can revert if I need to, put that back in place. But again, the ability to filter and find an individual component to replace it, to augment it, to change it is really what we're going after here. Cool, we'll go back to our products page. And again, I'm on the product catalog right here. This is where all bundle management really happens. So make sure you're in the product catalog looking for these filters. Great, and then the final one, it's just a source name, right? Maybe I know a particular warehouse is getting shut down or a vendor. I just want to find, hey, what bundles or kits do I have that have a single component from one of my vendors, right? So again, just finding the source name that goes along. Oh, nobody with on a screen. Maybe I need to build some of those out. So just different ways we can now be much more granular with our bundles. We don't want you hunting and pecking through the app to go ahead and find what you need to manage or fix. We're just going to put it right in front of you. So I'd encourage you to take a look at those filters, but definitely add them here as save filters if it's something that you're going to be doing more than once. Looking for those case packs, looking for those kits, things like that. You could just add it as a save filter here, and all you got to do is hit new filter and do the same filtering I was just showing you on those bundles down here at the bottom. Great. All right, that is the last feature. There's a couple more items. I just want to go through the Q&A and make one other announcement, but outside of that, covered the features I was trying to get to today. So let me update my screen share here. We're doing good. Everybody's still here that I think started, or maybe some people dropped and left, so I haven't run anyone out just yet. So appreciate you guys hanging in here and staying for this whole webinar, and we will be sending this recording out here. So Got through all of these features, and one thing I wanted to highlight and just make sure everybody catches here is we've had some questions after previous versions of our webinars here, our what's new, saying, hey, the UI looks just a little bit different than I'm used to. I don't see all of these features. And just to be very clear, we have two versions of our app, or traditionally we did, where we have what I'm showcasing here in these feature spotlights. We call it our pro version of our app. Before recently, it was only available at a higher price point, for lack of a better word. But what I want to call out here is that the customers that either are considering jumping to this more advanced version of Flexpoint or considering Flexpoint for the first time, we've made some changes here to our pricing. So effective May 1st, we moved all of our most powerful tools, really all the tools I covered here, anything that you'd expect out of a enterprise version of Flexpoint, we've moved them down to our business plan, so a lower price point where needed. Features like vendor portal, advanced order routing, our no-code mapping tools across all the different connection points that you would need, vendor SLA management that I covered today, our open API, which is huge, open API access as well as EDI access. Those are now all available on our business plan that starts at $6.99. This was traditionally like something that would be a $12.99 starting point with our last price plan. So definitely something I want to call out for anyone that is a current or considering Flexpoint. Really what we're seeing is most software companies nowadays, and especially with AI tools, they've been raising prices. They lock features behind higher tiers. We kind of went the opposite direction. We want to get these really cool features out to all of our users, and we're trying to make them as streamlined as possible, as you'll see here in some of the walkthroughs that I do. So if you've been evaluating us and the price is the reason you might have held off, I think the conversation is worth reopening here. So get in touch with us if you're at all interested. I'll put our pricing page in the chat. You can talk to any of your reps if you're an existing customer or our sales team, or reach out to me directly if you have any questions at all. But I'll pop that in the chat right now for everybody. All right, cool. Pitch is over. Now we'll get to the Q&A. It's a really good question. One question on the vendor SLA feature that we covered first here. Does it manage business days and hours of operation to measure the SLA? Today, no. Today, it is just pure days since the order was placed. That being said, when I showcase that in the app, it's a saved filter, for lack of a better word, that sits on our home dashboard. And right now, it's set in the way that I showcased there. Not to mean that there won't be improvements, but you can build your own filters all day long inside of our order management dashboard to be much more cued in on like hours of operation and actual business days if it has to go outside of our wrapping, for lack of a better word, our packaging. So yeah, great question there. Not full business day support out of that vendor SLA feature right now, but you can create your own save filters there and do the similar email communication if you want to. We have another question. Hey, will this recording be available after the webinar? Answer to that is yes. So anyone who registered, we're going to send this recording out. We also put all of these up on YouTube. We save them to our website, so feel free to go ahead and navigate there. Let's see if we got any more in. Does that quick build feature work for any amount of items? I think I briefly covered this, but the short answer is it works up to 1,000 items at once. Make sure to change your view to 1,000 items per page, and you'll be able to do up to 1,000 with that quick build feature. For me, that's how I'm going to be doing it going forwards whenever I'm showcasing to anyone. We know people have bigger catalogs, and you can either use the traditional kind of building approach there, or you can do things in chunks of 1,000 if that works for you to get that fast build and quick feedback. We have just a couple more. Do I need to do anything to enable the quick build feature? People like the quick build feature. That's good. No. So long story short, it is available on every single account, and all you have to do is build your current page view up to 1,000, and that will take effect there. Cool. Last question I have here, unless anybody writes in any more, is have my order routing configurations changed with this new update? Do I need to reapply any rules or settings? Great question. Quick answer is no. Nothing has changed in terms of the functionality for any of our existing users. All of that will remain the same for you. It's really if you want to take a look and add a different routing group, if you got everything tuned in exactly how you want it, I'd say don't touch it. But if you want to take a look at, streamlining that preferred warehouse logic, or if you're just adding a new scenario or routing group for a different use case, or maybe you're adding a new warehouse, it'll be available for you there. All right, I think that brings us to a conclusion here. I didn't switch to my Q&A page. There it is. So like I said, feel free, I put in the chat just that new pricing page. Feel free to check that out. Also, let us know if you have any questions at all. You can, like I said, we'll send emails out with the recording, so feel free to reply to that. You can reach out to me directly. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. And then you know how to contact our support team, support@flexpoint.com. You can book a call with our support team right through the app to cover any of these features. And outside of that, I think I'll bid you all adieu and wait till next time. So thanks so much for everybody who joined. We'll look forward to catching up with you all soon and for the next one.